Good afternoon and welcome to today's exclusive webinar for you, our partners, on how to optimize for mid to long stays. We're thrilled that you're able to join us today and hopefully leave with a few takeaways. Before we kick off, I want to mention a few housekeeping items. So all participants have been muted upon entry, and we ask you to keep yourselves muted until the end. And also, if you have any questions during the presentation, please add them in the chat and we'll address them in the Q&A. And lastly, this webinar is being recorded and we'll also send you a recording afterwards. I like to start with a quick poll amongst the audience just to understand what proportion of your inventory is allocated to mid to long term stay. So that poll should show up and I'll give everyone around 15 to 20 seconds to answer this question. Okay, I think we're going to close the poll. And let's have a look at the results. Okay, it's an interesting mix amongst the audience, and it's great to see a lot of you, nearly 50%, over 50% actually have over 60% of your portfolios dedicated to mid to long term stays. Great. So now on to our agenda for today. We'll be kicking off with a quick introduction of the speakers before sharing some insights on the UK and Ireland market, as well as some product updates. Then we'll dive into how you can optimize for mid to long stays and share some of the common pitfalls that we see leading to poor performance, followed by a Q&A towards the end. For a quick roundup of the speakers today and the team, you have myself, Sherry, General Manager for HomeLike UK and Ireland, alongside Anant and Louis, our Senior Key Account Managers for UK and Ireland, who most of you should know already. And we also have Luke, who recently joined us late last year and is our Sales Manager for onboarding new supply. We're also joined by some HomeLike experts, Claire, who is the product owner for all things supply related. And we also have Sander, who is our integrations guru at HomeLike. And last but not least, we have an external speaker, Michael, who's joining us from SiteMinder, one of our channel manager partners. Thank you so much for joining us today, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I want to start just by highlighting a few milestones here at HomeLike. We're currently now live in 10 markets. We launched across the pond in New York late last year, and we're experiencing tremendous growth there. We have a total of 3 million nights booked with an average stay of 3 months across all our 10 markets. For the UK and Ireland, this has been a total of 500,000 nights booked. We've grown our coverage to 50 cities in the UK and see a lot of growth coming in from Dublin. We're also planning on launching in Italy, Portugal, and a few other cities across the US later this year. 2022 is going to be an exciting year for growth, and we'd love for you to grow with us. So let's grow together. And in terms of the agenda, let's dive a bit deeper onto some of the trends we're seeing in the UK and Ireland across consumer behavior and demand patterns. The first is around shifting consumer behavior. It's becoming increasingly digitized. When we first rolled out instant bookings in late 2019 for UK and Ireland, it only accounted for around 2% of our bookings. But since Q1 of 2020 until now, instant bookings has grown by 4 to 5 times and accounts for over 40% of all our bookings. UK has the second highest share of instant bookings at HomeLike, trailing only slightly behind Spain. The pandemic only accelerated the adoption by guests to book attractively priced instant bookable properties. In this chart, the red text on top represents the percentage of instant bookings for each quarter, with the different colors in each column showing the distribution of instant bookings by monthly rent bands. Across both markets, 92% of instant bookings are made with monthly rents of below 4,000. And for London this year, the average instant booking monthly rent is around 2,800, and in Dublin, it's roughly around 3,200. The other interesting shift in consumer behaviour is a shorter booking window. The average booking window has shortened to 30 days, a 40% decline from 2019 levels. And this is anecdotally what we hear from some of our partners as well. The average length of stay has tended to fluctuate, but on average, it remains around 2.5 months. And in terms of demand, we've seen a shift across where there is demand, where demand is coming from, and also pricing levels. In the UK, London has historically accounted for a lion's share of our bookings, but in 2021, it only accounted for 60% of bookings so far. This chart depicts where the distribution of demand is outside of London. We see strong demand, especially in Edinburgh, Manchester, and Cambridge, as well as growing demand in areas like Oxford, Glasgow, Liverpool, and Bristol. In Ireland, Dublin is undoubtedly beaten, but we do see an increased interest in Cork. And just in terms of where demand is coming from, these two pie charts showed the distribution for where our guests are requesting properties from based on their IP addresses in 2022. For both UK and Ireland, domestic requests account for the majority, followed by US, Germany, and France. This is also reflected in the data we have on why people are traveling. As you can see here, the majority of our guests are traveling for business-related purposes, project work, relocations, as well as internships. And in the past 12 months, we've seen a steady increase in corporate travel, with relocation and project work related travel accounting for nearly 60% of bookings. The need for temporary housing, ranging from finding temporary accommodation between house purchases or people going through divorces, that's decreased by around 40% since late 2020, early 2021. And for those of you who are relatively new to HomeLike, we actually have a dedicated B2B / corporate team. We have Vincenzo, who's on the call today, and they work exclusively with corporates and relocation agencies globally, supported by a dedicated booking manager to drive our corporate side of the business. And right now, just as a side note, we actually have a 3-year request from an individual for a 4 to 5 bed property in Paddington in London with a move-in date of the 1st of July. So if anyone has any supply, please let me know. Now, I'll pass you over now to Claire from our product team to give you some updates on the product side of things.
Hi, thanks for the handover, Cherry. I'm Claire. Hi from Cologne. I wanted to tell you about what we've been working on the last quarter and give you some insights to topics that might be interesting to you. So what we recently released is that now it is possible for you in apartment creation to put in daily or nightly rates in the self-management option. So basically you can add your rates with daily or nightly prices. You can find it in the same section like before with the monthly prices. And it's also possible to add overrides here. So if there's like special time periods, you would normally increase or decrease your prices, for example, for a special weekend, then you can also do that at HomeLike. We also offer still overview of the monthly prices so that it is ensured that you still match our customers' needs, because they are mostly mid and long stay customers, and the prices differ a bit from short stay rates, especially if you operate with nightly or daily prices. Another feature recently released and long requested is the possibility to search for bookings or requests by ID in our dashboard. You can see a little GIF there also on the right side. So it's now possible to just search all your bookings by ID. That hopefully makes your life a bit easier. And we will continue to iterate on this feature. Last but not least on this page is booking sync integration. The official go live is 1st of April, but from our side it's done. That will allow you to have an instant sync of availabilities, rates, and property content through webhooks, and might be also of interest to some of you. One other thing from our side is that we just released tenant verification 1.0 this week. Currently, this is an A/B test for the regular request process, so no instant bookings. A/B test means that we only so far show this feature to half of the bookings that are being made, and the other half remains in the current process, just to ensure we are not losing any conversion here. The tenant is asked to provide personal details such as citizenship or date of birth, but additionally also other stay relevant information like number of children, if they want to bring pets or not, if they are smokers or not, the reason for their stay, on the employment status. Going on, obviously, next quarter, we also have some exciting things planned. We want to work on the way we display the information that is related to requests and bookings in the dashboard, and specifically focused here on a revised and transparent price overview, and also updated information on payment and payout statuses. So we are going to clean this up, and this should improve your usability significantly. And next up, obviously, there's the topic of availability management. We understand that this is a of high priority to you as well as to us. We're working on understanding your needs even better, and then also providing easy to use tools like expanding the current calendar view that you find in the dashboard. Further on, there's the plan to obviously further work on the development of integrations with new and existing partners like SiteMinder. So always something coming up.
Oh, thanks for that, Claire. I think the one other thing I just wanted to add on the tenant verification piece is we are currently in the process of testing with a third-party provider, and hopefully we'll be able to roll out a tenant verification process that actually checks tenant IDs and all of that. And that's also from the feedback that you've provided from us. So hoping to launch that for the UK and Ireland at some point over the coming months. Thanks, Claire, again. And before we dive into the, what you guys are all here for today on how to optimize for growth and bookings, I want to just launch a second poll for you just to understand how everyone in this audience is currently managing their availabilities. So if we can just launch the poll. Great. And I'm going to close the poll now. So let's just have a look at the results. Okay. So it's interesting here that majority actually manually managing their availabilities manually. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And without further ado, I'll pass over to you, Anant.
Thanks, Sherry. Hi, everyone. Anant here. I'm the Senior Key Account Manager for UK and Ireland territories at HomeLike. Diving into optimizing for growth and top tips to drive more bookings, there are a few different levers a property provider can use to optimize their listings on the HomeLike platform. The first and foremost is instant booking mode. Instant booking mode gives your listings higher ranking as compared to request mode. Instant booking mode also has the best conversion rate because the bookings just go through. So the user or the guest visits the HomeLike website, clicks on your property, and they are able to instantly book it. There is no delay or waiting time and no intervention needed from HomeLike booking managers or from yourself as the property provider. The key here is that as a property provider, you manage your availability really well within your home-like dashboard. So there are different options to manage availability, which will be covered in the next slides. To switch on instant booking mode for your listings, if you are not on instant booking mode already, you can speak to your key account manager. That would be either me or Louis, so we can guide you through the process. At the moment, instant booking mode is something that only your account managers can switch on from our end of the system. But in the future, we are looking into developing a feature for you to switch it on yourself as well. If you're not in instant booking mode at the moment, then the other option, or what that means, that your listings are currently on request mode. Under request mode, for the best chances of booking conversion, it is recommended that you approve the requests within 30 minutes of receiving them. So you will get an email notification that there is a request waiting to be approved within your home-like dashboard. You can approve the request directly via the notification email or by logging into your dashboard. With request mode, however, there is no guarantee of the guest actually completing the booking because the guest could have requested multiple properties. Also, declining any requests lowers your apartment ranking and also costs us marketing money. So the best way to optimize your listings is that you manage your availability really well, as it also pushes your listings ranking higher. So going on to the next slide now, the next factor that also influences your ranking and booking conversion is the cancellation policy. As you might know, there are 4 standardized policy options within your home-like dashboard under the contractual documents tab for you to choose from. The reason we have the standardized options is because we have seen through our own data analysis that the standardized policies result in a positive user behavior on the website, and the guest is also more likely to book the property. So we request you to choose one option that is closest to your existing policy. We personally recommend 48 hours as our guests and users continue to ask for flexibility, and this policy again also contributes to a higher ranking of your properties. The next lever is updating your property facilities and amenities information, including property titles and descriptions, and also paying attention to the photos, especially the first photo. Listings on home-like platform are free and the photos are your shop window. So the better photos you have, you're more likely to receive more bookings. For the last and most important lever, which is availability management, I would like to hand over to my colleague Sander, who's our home-like integrations project manager.
Thanks a lot, Anand, for that great overview and nice introduction. So yeah, as mentioned before, perhaps according to me at least, the most important topic to keep your ranking very high on home-like is to automate your availabilities. Make sure that all your availabilities are correct on our platform. So within home-like, we offer 3 ways of doing that, of automating your availabilities. First and foremost, iCal. I think we are all familiar with iCal and how it works. So I'm going to skip the short introduction on that. But basically, iCal gives you the possibility to keep your availabilities up to date on home-like. However, iCal only gives you a one-way synchronization option. So that means that if there is a booking coming in on home-like, this booking will not be published automatically on your iCal calendar. So this still requires a manual action from your side. The second option is Channel Manager. So within home-like, we have 7 different channel managers that we are integrating with. At the bottom right corner, you can find out more information about our channel manager integrations. And most of our channel managers are actually synchronizing availabilities, prices, and as well content, with a big advantage that all your reservation data from home-like gets automatically pushed to your channel manager. The third option that we offer is a little bit more tech savvy, I would say, is a direct API integration. So the home-like API is completely open. Everybody can integrate directly to our API. Usually the time that it takes to integrate is about 6 to 8 weeks. And it's completely modifiable according to your needs And also we give you support through most of the times actually a shared Slack channel during the integration period to make sure that everything goes smoothly. And now I would like to hand it over to Michael from SiteMinder, our preferred channel manager.
Thank you, Sander. Thank you so much. And hi, everybody. Thanks for having me again. From the channel management side, we're very pleased and happy to be working with HomeLike on this. And as you can see from this picture here, this is a bit like what SiteMinder does in the tech ecosystem, let's say. We're a lot more than a channel manager. We're more like a commerce system. So if you see, as an example in this picture, where you've got your property updating rooms and rates, flows through our channel manager and out for distribution to our partner HomeLike, as an example. And then you want to make sure that that's all happening and as close to live real time as possible. And this is why we're very excited about the instant booking functionality with HomeLike, because it's going to make things a lot easier for you when you go to get more reservations. No waiting on the customer side means that they don't have to keep shopping around. They can see what they like at your property, instantly make a reservation because they have accurate pricing and inventory details being sent to them through HomeLike, and that reservation data going straight back through SiteMinder into your front desk system. Sandra, could you please change the slide? Thanks so much. So connectivity to grow your business. So talking a little bit more about what we offer at SiteMinder, the hotel app store, particularly relevant to service departments and long stay, as it can include online check-in, guest messaging and directory services, upselling tools. We are connecting with everything to do with creating more revenue for your business. So a lot of this will be down to tools beyond what a channel manager does, because let's say after you've gotten a reservation that's come through HomeLike, you're going to want to message them, upsell to them, maybe online check-in services, all sorts, reputation management, making sure that you're keeping on top of reviews across the metasearch sites. So we can definitely help with things like that. And the seamless PMS connectivity side is so key, so important, because no matter what property management system you're using to receive all these reservations, it's very likely that SiteMinder has an integration to feed all of those reservation details accurately into your front desk so that your team can help manage that guest experience without having to go into the extranet, look up email addresses, look up phone numbers. What did they book? When are they arriving? All sorts of stuff. We want to make the admin so smooth that we just fade into the background as your tech partner ecosystem. Connectivity to your ecosystem. Sorry about that. Insights, real-time actionable data. This is so key. So lean on your content through booking windows, length of stay. We want to be able to show you all the key data so that you can understand your guests and price your rooms accordingly. We even offer ways for you to see what your competitors around you are doing so that you can make key pricing decisions when you go to upload your rates into HomeLike, so that you can stay competitive and get that market share of business that we are seeing at the moment growing. And then payments, we have SiteMinder Pay now, and this is going to take away the hassle and worry and the complexity, peace of mind for guests, and a simpler, speedier processing experience for you, so that way they can instantly pay for their reservation online. Once they make the reservation, they'll receive confirmation, you'll receive money in your account. Everything we can do, like I say, to help streamline your hospitality business. That's what SiteMinder is all about. Thank you so much.
Thanks for that, Michael. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And now on to our last section, some of the most common pitfalls that lead to poor performance on the platform. Handing over to you, Louis.
Thank you for that, Cherry. So yes, I'm now going to share with you some common pitfalls that we often see from our partners that can really harm their performance and reduce their chance of getting quality mid-stay bookings. And when I go through them, some of them are going to sound like common sense, but you'd be really surprised how often they can crop up. So this is just like a bit of a refresher really of things to really watch out for. So first of all, we're going to look at what happens before you get a booking. So diving straight into it, number one, lack of clear revenue management and strategy. So firstly, have you set a clear idea of what you want your properties to achieve in the mid-stay market? If so, have you set your pricing accordingly? So take time to look at your competition, look at similar properties in your area, see what rates they're charging, because then you can ask yourself the question, are you under or over setting your rates? And it does sound really obvious, but if you're being too punchy, you end up you risk having wider vacant periods where you're not receiving an income, and ultimately you'll end up having a lower annual income in the long run. And then on to, I guess, of the many benefits of mid-stays, if we compare them to short lets, one key one is that since the guest will be in place for much longer, you've obviously got fewer changeovers, fewer void periods, less hassly admin from your side. So, why not encourage those longer stays by offering discounts? And if you don't know this, you can actually set them directly yourself on your Home Light dashboard under pricing. Okay. Number two, and now this is a big one, is poor listing management. And it's so easy for everyone to create a listing on HomeLike and then just leave it and forget about it. But we find the most successful partners review and update their listings regularly. And as Anand said earlier, remember the listings are your shop window to a global audience of guests, and it's obviously part of our job to get traffic to view your listing. So obviously don't waste that opportunity. So if you're struggling with traction in getting bookings or things going a little bit quiet, just make sure you sort of go in, update your rates and review them. The other big mistake is, we're all guilty of it, but it's copying and pasting property descriptions that you might have on Verbo or Airbnb, so like short lets or holiday sites. And it really does, it does pay to take time to think about why a business traveler would want your home. For example, do you have super speedy broadband? Does the property have like a really great working environment, like a really great desk setup, for example? And what I really advise you to do is just have a think about big employers in your area, and don't forget hospitals and universities as well with that. Who are they? And name check them and shout them out in your property descriptions, especially if it's obviously like super close by. Because remember, for typical HomeLike guests, they're going to be much more important than nearby tourist attractions, for example. And then moving on, next one, and that's sort of touched on it already with inaccurate property descriptions, but always make sure your property details are 100% correct. No inconsistencies that could give false expectations, obviously lead to disappointment and ultimately have sort of complaints. So yeah, a good tip is to give yourself a reminder in your calendar to check your listings on a regular basis. Have you changed furniture? Is there anything in the property that might have been altered, which means obviously the photos don't reflect reality. And yeah, lastly, if you're not on instant booking and you're on request only, how fast do you actually respond to guest inquiries? And again, it sounds super obvious, but there is a clear correlation between slow response times to requests that come through and lower conversions. And actually, the faster you accept a booking, the greater the chance of the guest confirming it. So next slide, please, Jerry. So yeah, just briefly, we'll just go through what happens or can be a pitfall after the guest checks in. Again, it's an obvious one, but no quality control or a lack of quality control. So You know, how often do you check the work of your cleaning staff? You know, do you regularly check that, you know, your appliances and amenities work? And the reason I bring this up, because we do sadly get sort of complaints from guests who check in and then they find the property is either it's been poorly cleaned, or the heating doesn't work, or the Wi-Fi isn't as good as it should be. And it's obviously a reminder that if these aren't swiftly dealt with, then you'll end up with sadly unhappy guests who, you know, they can possibly cut their stay short, and you'll end up on that nice long booking. Boundaries and rules. This is perhaps a sort of a less obvious one, but one major way to avoid headaches is to ensure that you set clear rules and boundaries for guests. So do you set house rules so that guests know exactly what they can and can't do? This is, I guess, it relates to your T's and C's. So, you know, think about how thorough they are. And also, do you set a security deposit? Because it's interesting how many of our partners actually don't set a security deposit, even if it's just a nominal amount. So it's obviously much harder to ask a guest to pay for some damage or something when they've not provided a security deposit in the first place. So generally, the reason why boundaries and rules can lead to poor performance is that without them, you've got ambiguity and grey areas, and they can lead to complaints, customer care issues, which makes it so much harder for HomeLike to actually help you resolve them and ultimately lead to an unhappy guest. So last but not least, how many of you actually ask for detailed feedback from guests when they check out? Because this is obviously a vital way to, I guess, check if there's any issues in the home that you might not have spotted, or alternatively, you know, the guest might actually raise something really positive about the home that you might have thought about, and you can actually use that in your marketing and obviously in your property descriptions. So there you are, maybe sort of some useful tips in there, or just some useful reminders, but hopefully that's helpful. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Louis. Now onto our Q&A section, and maybe kind of before we kick into the Q&A section, I actually have a question for Vincenzo, who is our our business development manager and account manager on the corporate side of things for UK and Ireland. Vincenzo, maybe you can kind of share with the audience what are some of the trends or insights that you're seeing from a corporate point of view as well, if you can shed any further insights onto what we shared earlier.
Sure, thanks, Cherry. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I would say from a B2B point of view, we experienced a big shift, I would say, starting from probably was around September 2021 when things started to pick up a lot. Obviously, the easing of restrictions has been extremely beneficial to the majority of the corporates that we work with. And so from that period onwards, we saw like a spike in requests, which is continuing even toward till today. In terms of industries where this is coming from, I would say the most are coming from companies in the entertainment space, production, constructions, engineering, consulting, and also a lot of requests are coming from students and students accommodation providers. And I believe this is simply because of the semester starting in many universities. And in terms of cities, obviously in the UK, London is always like the #1 destinations, but we also receive a lot of requests for Edinburgh, Dublin, Manchester, Liverpool, obviously the major secondary cities. And yeah, this is pretty much in short what we're experiencing in B2B right now. Okay,
great. Thanks, Vincenzo. So I'm just having, if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to add them in the chat right now, or you can also unmute yourselves to ask in the session as well. I see there's actually quite a lot of questions for you here, Michael, SiteMinder related questions. So Veronica had one around the additional tools for longer stays included in SiteMinder's monthly fees, or are there extra charges as fixed fee per booking or on a commission basis?
Yeah, I was really cheeky while we were talking. I saw them come in, so I was just answering them
Okay,
as they
great.
went. But I'll address it anyway because it, you know. But yeah, with regards to that, the SiteMinder Pay is included. You just have to enable it. It doesn't cost anything to enable it. There are there is a fixed percentage fee depending on the card and the region that they're located for us to do the card processing. It just depends on where the property is located, but I can definitely, if they'd like more information on that, they can reach out to us and we can send an email just depending on Veronica's location. Sorry, Veronica. And as far as the payments that are taken, they're usually processed between 2 to 3 business days right into the owner's accounts. So it's very quick. And there's other tools in there, such as, you know, if you need to refund the customer or if you need to put deposit hold. It's a very flexible payment system, so it's very easy to use.
Cool. Thanks, Michael. If anyone, yeah, so again, please feel free to add your questions in the chat, but I think some of the questions that might pop up is, and that we've had also in the past, is if, for those of you who aren't on instant booking already, how do you actually activate that? So in terms of instant bookings, it needs to be done by the key account managers. So once you are ready to move your properties onto instant booking mode, please get in touch with Anat and Louis as well. And Sharon, thanks for your question. Your question was, is there a way to identify student bookings as an option that we choose if we like on a property or for a period of time? And I believe, Claire, this is kind of related to also the tenant verification testing that we've rolled out, right?
Sorry. Yeah, so basically right now, the way it was implemented before, we always asked our tenants for additional information after they finished the booking, specifically this reason of stay. So this also contained that information regarding if it's a student, usually, and this is again incorporated in the new tenant verifications. That would be basically when you get a booking and you're so lucky that the tenant filled out that information, then you could see it in the booking sidebar.
Cool. Hopefully that answered your question, Sharon. Maybe I have another one for you, Claire, which I know some of our suppliers have asked us in the past, is when we check on the landlord dashboard for bookings, we can actually see which bookings have been cancelled or not. When will that feature be rolled out?
Yeah, I tend to not communicate any timelines because I don't want to make people sad. Yeah, I do that in my job oftentimes anyhow. I can only tell you from my side, I mean, I know that the desire is big and I totally see the need, right? The reason why this has not been implemented is because there's like some architectural things lying behind it that make it a bit difficult at times to like clearly identify from a technical standpoint which bookings are cancelled or terminated or whatever. There's so many different like edge cases. And if we get that out to you, we want to make it straight and we want to make it proper, and we don't want to make like a quick fix that helps you at first sight, but then doesn't really work. So this is why it's taking longer, but it is on my agenda. Okay, in my backlog, as we would say.
Okay, thanks, Claire. And also maybe just going back to the poll question, some of you within the audience mentioned that you're currently managing your availability manually. And so I guess my question, you know, Michael, I know you're slightly biased, but maybe this is more of a question for Sander. If I'm looking into a channel manager, is there one that works best, especially for the mid to long stay market?
Well, with the SiteMinder presenter over here, it's a bit hard to say something else.
Yeah, I think I'd lose my job if I came out and said something else, wouldn't I? But I mean, I am biased, but for a reason. I've been with SiteMinder for 8 years because I do believe in the product. I think we are doing some good, and we're constantly updating, innovating our channel manager. It's a multi-award winning channel manager itself and commerce platform. And I think that what you want to look for is you want a system that's going to update everything and as close to live real time as possible. You want to make sure that your pricing is going to market. You're getting all of the reservation details quickly and updating your PMS system so that you're closing out that availability and not getting double booked. And that's with any inventory that you're selling online, whether it's mid to long-term stay, whether it's short-term stay. You want to make sure that everything that you're displaying is accurate, because particularly with service departments where it's not like a hotel where, I mean, so some companies have large inventory, but a lot of smaller property owners that might have a few apartments in certain complexes and buildings, things like that, you just can't afford double bookings. You can't afford to try to rehouse people, because you just didn't get the accuracy of inventory. A lot of that stuff, it's a big deal. So I like SiteMinder because I feel confident saying that everything that we're doing, when we're sending updates to HomeLike and HomeLike is sending instant bookings back to us, it's all happening in a very live environment.
Yeah, exactly. I can say that SiteMinder is one of our best working channel managers. And that's also one of the reasons why we invited them over for this call. And apart from SiteMinder, also the new integration with BookingSync, I have a lot of trust in that one because BookingSync is an easy-to-use platform. So I would recommend to take a look at these two options in case you're still wondering about, hey, which channel manager should I take and how can I automate some of my daily tasks?
And how is SiteMinder different, I guess, to BookingSync or Rentals United? And I guess Rentals United might be more short stay focused, right?
Yeah, exactly. Rentals United is purely short stay focused, and you'll see that in the integration. For example, when you look at the prices, on average, the price for midterm stay is about 60% lower. And what we see with Rentals United is that it's very difficult sometimes to set up the right pricing within that tool because you don't have that many options to play with the pricing. Well, in SiteMinder, you have different rate plans that you can use, which is a big advantage. And also with BookingSync, when I look at the prices over there, you can say, okay, these are my specific midterm stay prices. And it can differ from the short stay prices. Those are the only two platforms that are offering this.
Cool, thanks, Sander. Michael, did you want to add anything? I saw that you wanted to.
No, it was very eloquently put. I mean, we give you the flexibility of having as many package specials, rate plans as you like, and mapping them where you wish. And there's no limit from our side on that. It depends on the customer strategy. But then the glaring difference really is our connectivity ecosystem. So I mentioned before the App Store, maybe talked a bit too long about it. I do that sometimes, but I think that connectivity today is very key, particularly post-pandemic, where you're looking at, the best ways to keep in touch with guests, to make the journey easier for them with, instant check-ins, guest messaging, instant check-in, upselling tools. If you have SiteMinder in your property, it's going to help to future-proof that tech stack with all of our integrations and everything we do connect with, and our valued partners, HomeLike, who are very awesome for having us.
Thanks, Michael. We're just running a bit over time, but just in terms of a quick summary today. So how do you optimize for growth and more bookings on HomeLike, and especially mid to long stays? There are 4 key levers. So the first one is really to activate instant booking mode. And if you're currently only on request mode, to approve requests promptly. Second one is to consider a more flexible cancellation policy so that this will drive more bookings as well. And it's super important, and I can't stress this enough, as Anat mentioned, to really keep information up to date. I think one of the analogies Louis mentioned is having your listings like a shop window. You wouldn't have the same shop window dressing for the entire year. So it's good to change it up every once in a while. And last but not least is really managing your availability, especially in ensuring that, you know, if you are currently on manual, look into potential options where you can actually either use a channel manager and using iCals, and for a more complicated way is using the API integrations. And maybe just a quick summary of the common pitfalls. So super important before getting a booking to make sure you have clear revenue management strategy and managing your listings properly as well, and ensuring your property descriptions are up to date, as well as ensuring that you respond faster. And then in terms of after you've made the bookings, after a guest checks in, is to ensure that you have quality control, set boundaries and rules, and also always ask for feedback. And also, Michael, thank you again so much for having us. Again, I want to stress that we're really excited about our growth for 2022 and also to help you grow this year. So again, let's grow together. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on the webinar today. Take care. Bye.